Hello, everyone, and welcome to your mini reading lesson for Thursday. Today, we're going to be reading I Live Here. This can be found in your big red reader on page 42. So, if you don't have that out, go ahead and get that out and pause this video. Press play when you are ready to follow along. So, we are reading I Live Here, and this is a nonfiction text about where people live. We've been learning about this all week long about where people live. So I want you to think about where you live as you read this and where Pip lives when we read Pip today. So I want you to kind of think about those things as we read it. So I said this was a nonfiction text. So in nonfiction text, bold words are very common. And this is a way the author is telling you that the words are important. So I want you to also look for bold words as we read. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's read it together. So make sure you have your finger out and you are following along. So I live in the country. I live in a house. Not many people live near us. So what word is in bold on page 42? Country, you're right. So why do you think country is in bold letters? You're right, because it's very important that the reader know that we are talking about them living in the country. And if you look at the picture, it does look like they're in the country. They have a big yard and no one is around. So now let's go to page 43. I live in the city. I live in a big building. Lots of people live here. So what words are bolded on page 43? You're right, city and building. Once again, if we look at the picture, it helps us realize what's going on because it shows that they are in a city, and then in the background we can see the building that they actually live in. So let's go ahead and turn the page. So page 44. I live in the country. I play in my yard. Lots of kids play with me. So what words are in bold on page 44? You're right, country and yard. So if you see in the picture, they have a big yard and they have room to play. So that kind of shows that they're in the country. So let's keep reading to see what the kids in the city do. I live in the city. I play in the playground. Lots of kids play with me. So in the city, kids don't have their own yard. So what words are bolded in on page 45? You're right, city and playground. Because, like I said, in the city, they don't have their own yard. So they have to go to the playground and play with other kids. Let's turn the page. So let's read page 46. I went one too far. Sorry. So make sure on page 46. I live in the country. My school is far away. I ride the bus. So what word is bolded on page 46? You're right, country. Because in the country, they have to ride a bus. Well, you don't have to ride a bus, but you're too far to walk to school in the country. So now on page 47, I live in the city. My school is near my home. My mom walks with me. Where do you live? So in the city, he walks to school with his mom. So it's a lot easier to walk to school than if you lived in the country because you don't always live as far away. So now that we've read this and you've thought about where you live compared to where these kids live and where Pip lives compared to where these kids live, I want you to keep thinking about that as you complete your next assignment. So I have created a sort for you to do to go along with this story. So it says city on one side and country on the other. So I want you to click and drag the text box to where it should go. So remember, so like for example, so on the city side, you could say, I walk to school, because in the city, you are more likely to live near your school than in the country. So then on the countryside, you would put, I ride the bus. So make sure you click and drag it to where it needs to go. So once you finish this video, I want you to do your sort and make sure you turn it in.